Hi, welcome to Pet Pals. As always, I'm Bethany Davidson, the Humane Educator at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. Helping us again this morning is our volunteer, Tammy Benson, and our first guest is Penny. And Penny is a new addition to the cat adoption floor. While she is a very petite cat, she's actually an adult. She's not a kitten anymore. She's about 1 to 2 years old, we're estimating. She is gray and white. And Penny came to a house about 3 weeks ago as a stray. The family took her in, but they realized that the other pets weren't really into Penny living in the house, and so they were, they wanted to do what was best for their existing pets, and they brought Penny here to us. Now, to be fair, 3 weeks really isn't necessarily enough of an adjustment period for animals to get to know each other if they're not used to living with one another. And we don't know how the integration period was done. During our adoption interviews, we talk about how to introduce a new cat or dog to your existing pets. You want to start them off in a confined room and then work on, slowly letting the animals engage with one another, making sure that they have outlets to be away from one another, making sure they're always supervised. There's a lot of different things that you can do, feeding on either side of a door, doing scent swapping and site swapping. There's a lot of things that you can do to help those interactions become more positive a little bit more quickly. That being said, animals don't have to get along. I use the example of, multiple children in a household. They don't always want to be friends and hang out. They love each other, but they don't always want to spend time together. Sometimes they get angry with one another. As long as no one's hurting each other, then it's okay. So that's kind of how I equate it. But she has had experience with a variety of children of different ages. They say she's playful, energetic, friendly, calm, things that we have seen here in the shelter. When I went to get her today, she was sitting up in her little hammock. I started petting her. She liked that. She kind of showed me what she liked. And then when I pulled my hand away, she jumped right down to continue to get some pets. I picked her up, no issues there. She's been fine sitting here on Tammy's lap. So she's going to be a pretty even-keeled, well-rounded cat that should be a great addition to any family. You can visit her at 1832 Rosemont Avenue. This is Lilith, and she's a little bit more active than our previous guest, even though she's older than our previous guest. She's about 5 to 6 years old. She is a domestic medium hair. Now, you might say, she doesn't look like a medium hair to me. There's different types of medium hair. A lot of people think, it's going to be the longer fur that kind of is floofy and stands up. Not always the case. Sometimes their fur is just longer and it still lays relatively flat like a short hair cat. You can usually tell more in their tail. The fur on their tail is definitely a little bit longer, sticks out a little bit more. And Lilith was brought to us owned. The reason she's here is because she was a farm cat and they just had too many. And so they brought her here to us so that we could rehome her. Now, a lot of people might be thinking, this cat was outside before. Is it always going to be constantly trying to get out? Well, there are ways that you can manage that, and then after a while they get used to it. Ways to open the door so they don't sneak out. But speaking from personal experience, I have a cat who was found as a stray, and he has no desire whatsoever to go outside anymore. He likes the lush life that he lives inside, where it's nice and warm or it's nice and cool, depending on the weather. And he's perfectly content, never tries to sneak out of the house. So just because she lived outside once doesn't mean that that's going to be something that you constantly have to worry about. That being said, all of the cats and dogs that come from us are microchipped, so if she were to sneak out and someone were to find her, it would be more likely that she would be able to find her way home to you because of that microchip. The people who owned her previously said that she had lived with other cats as well as dogs, children of all ages. They say that she's friendly, calm, and independent, and she's definitely showing her independent side right now because she doesn't want to be sitting on a lap. And a lot of cats, that's not what they're into. They don't want to be confined. They don't want to be held and sit on your lap. But when I was engaging her in her cage, she was very social. She was a little hesitant, but was very eager to be petted. She would walk up and let me pet her, and then if I tried to pick her up to bring her to the set, she would kind of back off a little bit, but she really wants those pets, so she kept coming back up. So it's just about respecting your pet's boundaries, making sure that you're giving them the love that they want and they're willing to accept and you're also getting what you want from them as well. Lilith would be adopted for a fee of $77.50 if you were to adopt her from Animal Control. We have some really cute pairs of cats at the shelter right now, and these two are one of those pairs. Their names are Mabel and Junie, and so the more confident, wiggly one, without any white on her, she's also the smallest one, is Mabel. And then her brother is a little bit shyer. He is the bigger one. He has a white spot on his face and then on his chest, and his name is Junie. And they are about 2 years old. They have lived together all of their lives. They are about the same age and they look similar, so I'm assuming that they're litter mates. They came to us because their owner was going away to college and unable to rehome them. They say that they're fearful at first, but loving and sweet and affectionate. They're used to living with other cats, obviously, as they live together, and they've lived with dogs, they've lived with children of a variety of ages. They start to have a little bit of differences. Both of them are lap cats, friendly, calm, able to handle, but Junie is a little bit more shy, and then Mabel is a little bit more playful. Here in the shelter, they have been nothing short of adorable. They have this one little square bed that they love to sit in together, and they like hug each other, and they're like little yin and yang pieces in the bed, and all these different ways that they're cuddling together. They groom each other. They've been really great with the volunteers. The volunteers have been spending a lot of time with them. They're super social. Originally, we had not had them listed as a bonded pair because they were okay when they were being processed separately. But in the recent weeks, they have definitely started to show us that they are a little bit more attached to each other. So right now, we've changed them to better together. So we would really prefer it if you would to adopt them as a duo, but not necessarily a requirement. And then we'll continue to monitor that as we move forward. Here on the show today, they were both very nervous. I tried to start them out on separate laps, and they were crying for each other, put them together, and Mabel is definitely more relaxed, although she's more confident anyway, and he has definitely settled down. He's not trying to run away, he's not trying to hide. He knows that she's there to kind of protect him. So if you're interested in two great cats, maybe Mabel and Junie are just the pair for you. If you adopt two, you do get a $20 reduction in your total adoption fee. This guy is a repeat guest. His name is Bombay, and he's a 2 to 3 year old black cat. I wanted to put him on the show again because I feel like he's been getting overlooked a lot, and I wanted to give him another opportunity to shine because he is a really sweet, loving, affectionate cat. One of the things that might hold people back from wanting to adopt Bombay is that he really prefers to be an only cat. He needs that in his life. He came to us as a stray, and some people were like, how do you know that? Because we've watched his interactions with the other cats when he first arrived. So when he would see them, he would hiss at them, growl at them. So we don't want to set him up for a situation where he's going to be unhappy and maybe potentially be brought back to the shelter. We see cats all day, every day, so we know the difference between, oh, I'm just a little scared, and oh, I really don't want to be with another animal. So just because he doesn't want to be with a specific cat in his life doesn't mean that he can't live with other different types of pets. So if you have a dog per se, or guinea pigs or a rabbit or something like that, obviously you want to do your due diligence to make sure all the animals are safe, but it doesn't mean that he couldn't live in a home like that. It just means that he really wants to be the only cat in your life. He is, as you can see, pretty easygoing. He's perfectly content sitting on Tammy's lap, being petted. He does approach the front of his cage. He is pretty social. We've not had any issues with volunteers handling him and saying, he didn't like this, or he tried to escape on me, or anything like that. But he just, unfortunately, gets a little bit overlooked. He has already been neutered, so he's ready to go. He's had his vaccines made up to date. And so he just needs to find that perfect family. He is a young cat, so he's still going to be active and playful, but he does have that cuddly side to him as well. And he's just a super cute guy. He has like his canine teeth stick out just a little bit. When he kind of looks up, you can see them. And sometimes he has this little mohawk thing going on with the hair on top of his head. So he's just, if you take the time to actually look at him, he's just incredibly adorable. He's going to be on the first side of the adoption floor, so you know, on one of those bottom cages. So just keep looking down, because you never know what you might be missing out on. If you're interested in Bombay, you can visit him here at the shelter Monday through Saturday. This little guy is the last of his litter when they came in. They came in back in August, and they were Widget, Digit, Gidget, and Fidget. And so he's the last one that still needs to be adopted. He's about 6 months old now, and he's a little bit on the shy side. They all were. And he's slowly starting to be more affectionate, more social. And it could be purely his environment. He just needs a quieter, more stable home environment where there's not so much stimulation, to feel a bit more comfortable. But he's definitely come a long way, but still on the shy side. He's more engaging with people when they want to pet him, and because he's now 6 months old, the volunteers are able to interact with him a little bit more. When kittens first come in, we try to discourage our volunteers from interacting with them unless they're showing them to potential adopters, because kittens can more easily get sick just because they're younger and their immune systems aren't as developed. But people are constantly looking to adopt kittens, so they're getting handled by potential adopters all day long. And because kittens are just so cute, they're designed that way, some of the volunteers would occasionally forget about the older cats and spend all of their time with the kittens, and then the older cats would get a little bit depressed. So now that he's reached that 6-month-old mark, the volunteers can interact with him on a daily basis, and hopefully work on a little bit more of that shyness with him. He is, he's still your typical playful kitten. He plays by himself now because he doesn't have any litter mates, but because he's used to having other cats around, he would probably do well as a second or third feline pet. We don't know what his experience is, obviously, with dogs and things like that. Sometimes I take kittens out to events and I can see how they're going to be with a dog because I also take a dog. But because he was so shy, it wasn't really fair to kind of set him up for that situation. So just if you have a dog, making sure you're doing some very careful introduction there and understanding that he might be fearful at first. Shy kittens, the 10-day isolation period is definitely beneficial for them, and just reminding any young children in the home that they are a little bit shy, a little bit scared, so to be more gentle and, not do as many fast movements while they're adjusting to their new environment. If you're interested in Fidget, you can visit with him here at Animal Control. Our visiting hours are Monday, Tuesday, and Friday from 10 to 5, Wednesday and Thursday from 12 to 8, and Saturdays from 10 to 4. Our final cat today is Minke, and Minke is a black and white domestic shorthair. She's about 1 year old, and she is one of our moms. Typically, the kittens go really quickly, and then the moms are left all alone, but Minke's on the adoption floor, as are 3 of her 4 kittens. Her female kitten, Chloe, was adopted, but her 3 boys, Kylo, Keen, and Kai, are also still available for adoption. So if you're looking for, any number of adorable black or black-white animals, we have plenty to choose from. Minke is color-coded yellow, which means she's a little bit shy, a little bit more reserved, but she's definitely very sweet and affectionate. When I went to engage her in her cage, she was definitely wanting to sniff my hand first and then let me pet her in her hammock, and then she jumped down, and then I snatched her up, which she wasn't super thrilled with, but she tolerated it, and she seems to be, while very observant and kind of aware of her surroundings, she's not overly fearful, she's not hiding, she's not trying to escape, she's just kind of taking it all in. So just a little bit of an adjustment period, and I think she would be fine. Because she did have a litter of kittens, she is used to living with other animals. When she was in her foster home, she was with her kittens, but she has since been separated from them, so she's been living a little bit more independently. So an appropriate introduction is always necessary when you're talking about introducing a cat to other cats. So that's something to think about. She's still a young cat, so still very playful, but as you can see, much more handleable than some of the feisty kittens that are running around. If you are interested in her, she's already been spayed, so she's ready to go. She's had all of her vaccines made up to date. She's been dewormed, given flea and tick preventative. She's been microchipped. She also would go home with a free well visit to the vet, and all of that for just $97.50. So that's a great deal on a great pet. If you wanted to visit with her, you could do so here at the shelter. Our address is 1832 Rosemont Avenue, and our visiting hours are going to be Monday, Tuesday, and Friday from 10 to 5, Wednesday and Thursday from 12 to 8, and on Saturdays from 10 to 4. We hope you enjoyed meeting all of these adoptable felines. We have many more cats on the adoption floor that you probably haven't met yet, so you want to make sure that you take some time to stop in. After the break, we're going to introduce you to 4 of our adoptable dogs.
Hola, bonjour. Thinking about learning a foreign language? How about taking a few business courses online? Or you might just want to relax by flipping through a magazine on your mobile device. Good news! Frederick County Public Library rolled out 3 new great digital tools to help you learn the convenient way. First is Rosetta Stone, the premier language learning program with invaluable tools to help you master any one of 30 languages. Lynda.com offers all kinds of online business and tech courses to take in the comfort of your own home. And these can help you achieve your own personal and professional goals. And Flipster offers 15 popular digital magazines such as People, Time Magazine, that you can read on your mobile device and even download the app, which makes it a super easy and fast way to enjoy these magazines. 3 exciting new digital tools offered to you by Frederick County Public Libraries. They're all free, and you need only your library card to get started. Visit fcpl.org for more.
Welcome back. All of the dogs on today's shows are repeat guests, and with Roxie is one of those dogs where you really truly can't understand why they haven't found a home yet. She is a high energy dog, but she settles down really quickly. She's still a puppy. She's only 8 months old, and she's super cute. She's super affectionate. I just can't understand why anyone hasn't wanted to seal the deal with this beautiful dog. She's had tons of applications, but unfortunately, people have changed their mind, or they haven't met the obligations that are required to adopt. Some of those obligations include having everyone in your household visit, making sure your animals are up to date on their rabies vaccine, any current animals you have, making sure that you have a good background check through us, no history of frequent relinquishment or animal cruelty, and then also that your landlord says it's okay for you to have a pet of this kind, this size, those types of things. So unfortunately, this nearly perfect dog is still here with us. She does need someone who's going to be willing to exercise her, but she is very smart. She already knows sit, she knows down. She walks fairly nicely on a leash, but she does pull a little bit, so she needs some work there. She also is great with other dogs. She's very submissive, so she's good with small dogs, but she also plays well with large dogs. One of the things that you might notice about her when you walk into the shelter now is that her kennel, is covered with blankets. And when you look at her, you're going to notice that her sides are red speckled. And that is because Roxie is an incredible wiggle butt. Her whole body moves from the tip of her tail up to the front of her head. And when she's wiggling, her tail smacks against her kennel walls. And because it's hitting that hard kennel, it's the end of it kind of cracks and bleeds. And then because of the way she wiggles, her tail slaps the sides of her flanks. So now her red flanks have little red polka dots from just that bleeding on her tail. So us putting those blankets up is a way to protect her from that. In a home environment, it might not be as big of a deal because she's not going to be kenneled all the time. But if she's going to be in a crate, those are things that you want to think about. If it gets to be too intense, sometimes they do have to amputate a bit of the tail to prevent that from happening. But that's not something that we're looking at right now because in a home environment, again, that might be an issue that's quickly resolved. Because Roxie is a puppy, we take up to 4 applications for her, choose the best fit for the dog, and all of our puppies are adopted for a fee of $150. If you're interested in making this beautiful dog part of your family, please stop in and visit with her here at Animal Control. This is Gracie. I believe this is Gracie's 3rd time on the show. It could be more. She is our 5-year-old bull terrier mix. She is a beautiful dog. She is blue and white in color, and she has a face that is so easily recognizable. Not only is it that very distinctive bull terrier face, but she has her own Gracie spin on it. So Gracie's jaw is not the right size. Her bottom jaw is a little bit smaller, so her tongue doesn't fit quite in her mouth, so her tongue always hangs off to one side, and it just is very unique to her. But that doesn't stop her from doing anything. She eats normally, she drinks normally. As you can see, she chews on and destroys toys normally. That is her new favorite thing. When Gracie first arrived, she was incredibly scared. She was brought because her landlord said that she could no longer live in their rental property. The family tried to find some way to rehome her or rescue to take her. They were unable to do so with their landlord's deadline, and then they brought her to us. So when she first arrived, she was really scared. She shook a lot, she drooled a lot as just a coping behavior, and now she is quite herself. She's definitely gotten used to living in the kennel. She's showing more and more of her personality. She attention seeks. She wants attention. She definitely has a love for toys. So we monitor what she has in her kennel so she can't destroy it and hurt herself. But it is something, there's almost always a toy of some kind in her mouth. She loves that. She carries them around. She is very playful. She likes to run around and play, but she also is a dog that will cuddle with you. When she first arrived, she was doing a lot of spooning with people in her corunda bed so that she felt a little bit safe. But if you take her out and you sit down, she will come in and enjoy that nice kind of calm, relaxed time with you. She walks pretty nicely on a leash, but she is a strong dog, so just making sure that you can handle any dog that you were to adopt from the shelter. Gracie would probably do better in a home environment with children that are a little bit older. We're saying 13 and up just because she can be a little mouthy with her toys. We don't want her to hurt anybody by accidentally biting. And she would probably also do better in a home where somebody was going to be home more often than not, just because she prefers to be with a person. So if you're interested in Gracie, she would be adopted for a fee of $72.50 here at Frederick County Animal Control. This is Hooch, and he is our 2.5-year-old tan pit bull mix. Hooch is his name. When animals come in already named, then we will not change their names unless they're offensive or otherwise detrimental to the adoption process. So, for example, a dog named Cujo, we would probably try to change that to something that sounds similar, so it's easy for the dog, but has a less negative connotation with it. Hooch was brought to us after he was owned for 15 months by one person because that person was moving, and they said they were unable to take him along. Hooch has previously lived with another dog, a 12-year-old Pomeranian, and he has lived with other children. They say that he's playful, energetic, friendly, But then he also does normal dog stuff, like he chews, he chases, he roams, he pulls a little bit on his leash, he chews on things, so he does require a little bit of training. Our volunteers have been very diligently working with Hooch on not only some basic manners, but just things that will be beneficial to him in the long run, especially here in the shelter environment right now. He doesn't really enjoy living in the kennel. It's very stressful for him. So we're doing some like desensitization, counter conditioning things with other dogs in a kennel environment, and just working to make him as adoptable as possible so that he will be a dog that a family wants to, make him part of theirs. He does have a lot of great qualities. He's very treat motivated, but he's very gentle when he takes those treats. He does know some basics. He knows sit, he knows down. He loves to play fetch. He brings back the ball to you. He drops it nicely. He is a little bit nervous around new people in his kennel, but outside he meets new people very easily. I met him for the first time outside of his kennel, and he came right up. He wanted to jump up on me, but in a gentle way, more like hugs than like, bullying you over. And in his kennel, sometimes strangers, he barks and things like that just because he's nervous. In his kennel, when other dogs walk past him, his reaction's pretty favorable, at least it was initially, or he had no reaction. His nervousness, he's definitely working on that, so that's just something that you want to take into consideration. You don't want to set him up by taking him to places that he might be uncomfortable in, things like that. He is color-coded purple, but just because he can be a little nervous and a little bit weird about certain things. But all in all, he's a very good dog who just is looking for that right family. He is housed in the second part of our available dogs area, so you might have to walk a little bit further to find Hooch. The last dog we have for you today is Bentley, and just looking at him, you think he's just like any other standard pit bull mix. But Bentley is special. Bentley is nearly blind. He's visually impaired, but that doesn't stop him from doing anything. He is a beautiful dog. We have him listed as black and white, but I definitely see some brown in there too. Just depends on how the light hits his coat. He is very strong. He's very athletic. He's healthy in every other way. He just views the world a little differently. As you can see, it doesn't stop him from playing. He knows where his toys are based on the smell of the toys, the sound of them, being on the floor, moving around. So he explores the world primarily with his other senses. So he's listening for where things are. He follows the sound of your voice. He's smelling things. He explores the world with his mouth, with touch and smell. And, you can train him very easily by using, verbal cues, but then also touching him in specific places on his body so that he knows what you want him to do. Like you might tap him on near the base of his tail if you want him to sit and things like that. It's just important with a visually impaired dog to have those types of things ready. You want to know what cues you're using to keep him safe. So you want things like letting him know when there's an obstacle in his way, when he needs to step up, step down, getting in and out of the car. It's also really important to have some sort of a recall cue so that he can follow your voice. He knows when he needs to come, and then you just keep talking to him so that he can come to the sound of your voice. But more importantly than that, just keeping him on a leash at all times when he's out in public. In the home environment, keeping things in a very similar place all the time so that he's not going to accidentally run into stuff. In your yard, maybe okay to let him off leash once he's familiar with the yard, but in parks and things like that, walking around the street, always should be on a leash just for his safety. And keeping in mind that if you're taking him places where there's a lot of stimulation, that might be more overwhelming for him because he can't see what's going on. So just a few alterations to typical standard dog care, and Bentley would be a great companion for most families. Because he can be easily startled because he can't see, we are recommending older children. We're saying about 13 and up for Bentley. You can visit him here at Animal Control. Our hours of visitation are Monday, Tuesday, and Friday from 10 to 5, Wednesday and Thursday from 12 to 8, and on Saturdays from 10 to 4. We hope you enjoyed meeting all of these adoptable animals today, and we hope that you will tune in again next week for Pet Pals.